This is FTG Podcast, sponsored by Vedic Meditation with Matt Cardone. Vedic meditation is a ancient technique that works with a mantra. I've been practicing this meditation for the last 3 years. Mantra literally translates into mind vehicle, right? Man is mind, tra is vehicle. So this mantra is a poetic sound, which is a bija mantra. It's void of meaning. And the purpose of it is to take the mind from grosser states of thought down to the subtlest form of thought, leave the mind, eventually where there's no thought and no mantra, which is then to soak in what we would call cosmic consciousness, the kingdom of heaven, or whatever you would like to call it. This practice has easily been the most transformative thing in my life the last 3 years. If you're interested in it, you can hit me up, ask about it. You can go to mattcardonemeditation.com and request a phone call with him. Highly recommend it. Again, thank you, Matt Cardone, for sponsoring this podcast. I'm grateful to be a part of something that has radically changed my life.
What's the eternal principle?
Brahman.
Which is?
Well, we call it God, but that personifies it.
What's up, mofos? This is FTG Podcast, episode 110. We're having fun. It's 420. We're not smoking. We are observing the holiday by sharing funny stories. And speaking of which, what we're going to be doing, we have an email created, ftgpodcast@gmail.com, ftgpodcast@gmail.com. What we want you guys to do, send in questions, topics, things that you want talked about, voice recordings, funny stories. Even if you have a topic that you want to talk about, send in a voice recording, email it to us. We're going to play it throughout the episode, respond to it, and get more live, more interactive with the audience, rather than just getting DMs and considerations for things to talk about, which are awesome, but we just want to have a more interactive flow. So again, ftgpodcast@gmail.com. Record something you want to say, some funny bit or something that you want talked about. Send it up. We'll have it on. We'll talk about it. We'll have some fun. And what we'll start to do is preemptively put that out there and ask you guys to send in voice clips or whatever for the recording. Like, so for instance, today is 420 and recording. What would have been nice if we would have done this last week and had you guys send in a ton of clips and, tell us funny edible stories.
Scott, I actually have, it's Andrew here from the production table.
Yeah. FTG Production. What's up, Andrew?
Yeah, I actually, I know we were talking about the email address before the show, and it actually turns out that email address is taken. So, and Scott was like, "Oh no, it's definitely not taken. 100%, it's not." But I'm like checking it out right now, and so it'll be From the Grave Podcast.
From the Grave Podcast
@gmail.com.
So scrap the last 4 times I mentioned that specific email, and From the Grave Podcast is the email.
It's funny because I was literally just texting Andrew that he should register ftgpodcast@gmail.com and then not tell you that he registered it so that you would think it was taken, but then he tried to
Paul, you got to remember to take the mic. People aren't going to be able to hear you if you're not on the mic.
You guys should just leave it in the middle like that, or set it up vertical.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You know what I mean? Or move, move the fucking stand, move the end table all the way back so the mic ends right between you guys.
Oh, there we go.
You know what I'm saying, dude? I'm the fucking visionary here. I'm the visionary.
Yeah.
I didn't want this life. It just chose me. There you go.
Look at that.
All right. So anyways, From the Grave Podcast @gmail.com. Sending clips, voice memos, questions, comments, concerns, things you want talked about, and we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to be a little bit more interactive. If you're listening to this right now in the car and you're vibing, that's cool, and you're driving, but you want to watch this on YouTube, just search From the Grave Podcast on YouTube. and it'll come right up, and you can see the setup and have some fun, and we'll go from there. Is that it? Is all the cleanup? Yeah. Yeah, it's good that they actually tell me to do this stuff, because I'm more like just a plug and play kind of guy. So at any rate, you know, what we're thinking about talking about today is small sense of accomplishments built up over a long period of time. Little wins, little wins, little wins, little wins. So there was this book. Have you guys ever read the book, The Compound Effect? No? Okay. So it was this book I read a while back. And this dude is basically talking about, you know, for instance, somebody doesn't work out and they want to start going to the gym, right? And they're like, I'm going to fucking go to the gym every day this week, 4 or 5 days a week. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. If you're never going to the gym, I shouldn't say you're going to fail, but the odds are stacked against you. If you make a decision to get in shape and you want to go to the gym randomly every day a week or 5 days a week, you're placing an unreasonable demand upon yourself. So the little win, or the compounding effect, would be to, I'm going to go to the gym one day this week. And let's say I go Monday. I take that win, I go to the gym Monday, and then after that I say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym Wednesday. And I let the snowball take its form, rather than creating an unrealistic goal of perfection. And that's honestly what I always used to do. I always had this script for how my life should look, right? And it really comes in like every circumstance of a human life for me. It was like finances, physical fitness, diet, spirituality, intelligence. Dude, I don't know. You gotta get your life together, man.
Sorry, from the production table.
Yeah, so at any rate, right, I would always have like this level of, or this idea of like how my life should look in these areas, whether it's like diet, money, spirituality, physical fitness. And I always do, right? I always do. But I always used to have these unreasonable demands upon myself to have them in a certain way. And then most of the time, I would never hit the mark. So I was just always creating like this curriculum for myself. And then once I didn't hit that, like the moment I didn't hit that curriculum throughout my day, it was a complete failure and it was a complete wash. Like, here's a for instance, right? I would say, and I talk about this all the time, I would say, all right, I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock. I'm going to get up at 5 a.m., wake up, pray, meditate, grab a protein shake, go to the gym, whatever. I'm going to the gym in the morning before work, right? Create this demand upon myself, which is like a solid goal to have. But the thing about me is I was never a morning person. I always worked out at night. But I wanted to be this person. Like I wanted it to look a certain way. So every day I would go to, or every night I would go to bed and I would say, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. And I would set, 17 alarms. And then I would hit the alarm 5 a.m. and hit snooze 17 fucking times. Wake up 20 minutes before I had to go to work, throw some clothes on, brush my teeth, out the door, and I've already failed. Now, I would do that to myself every day rather than meeting myself where I was at, which was I was a guy that didn't get up in the morning often, but I was also a guy that wanted to be more consistently in the gym and working out. So I got two choices. I either try to manipulate my life to look one way or meet myself where I'm at and do what I can on that foundation. So for me, it was about, rather than trying to be a morning person and going into the gym every morning in the same breath, what if I just started to work on physical exercise and going to the gym, and then maybe that would up my energy, and then maybe also I would be more spent at night. I would go to bed earlier, and that would get more sleep, and then naturally I would start to get up earlier. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But I was always putting these demands, like how my life had to fucking look. It was like, I said this a couple episodes ago. It's like, I'm only going to eat fucking spinach, chicken, and beef, and that's it, and just water, and I fill up my fridge with all those things, come home, and then order a fucking pizza or grab Pop-Tarts and bullshit from the gas station, right? So I was never able to just say, okay, well, why don't I eat 80% good food and then not crucify myself for 20%? Now, all these things are great goals to have. I always want to move in the direction of goals. But the thing is that the goalposts always move. All right, I was talking to this kid the other day, and he was telling me about how he's like trying to be perfectionistic in the gym, and like he's whatever. He's in a relationship, and she loves him as he is, but he's not okay with himself. So, and the guy's like fit. He's like super fit, right? But in his mind, it's just never enough. So the goalposts always move. They're always just shifting. They're super elusive. They're like the fucking matador, right? It's like the goal is the, what do you call that thing? There's like a cape, like a red cape. I don't fucking know.
Caper like a flag or something.
Yeah, like caper like a flag. And we're the bull. It's like we think we're going to hit it, and then it just slips. And we got a whole crowd of people cheering against us, which are the negative thoughts. Oh, you thought you got it this time. Guess what? No, you didn't. And when we look at that as far as like somebody in recovery, that is the structure of addiction or alcoholism, because I was always taking the cap off the bottle, drinking it, and getting exactly what I wanted. Just take the cap off the rig, shoot it, get it exactly what I wanted. Flip the pill, get exactly what I want. And then what happens is we come into recovery, or we get spit back out in life. We try to do this normal thing, and we try and take that script and take the cap off of life and drink. It just doesn't fucking work that way. It just doesn't work that way. It's small exposure to the type of person that I want to be, little by slowly, and then you become, all of a sudden you wake up and now you're the person that you wanted to be. But it was a compounding effect. It just started by going to the gym one night a week. That's it. It was just a little accomplishment. It was a little win. So, and I didn't realize that I had this, but I was attacking my life with an alcoholic mind, which was I was demanding relief, perfection, and okayness by taking the cap off of life. And it's like life just doesn't work that way. You can't rip euphoria out of life. You can rip it out of a bottle. You can empty it out of a bag. But the thing is that it exhausts itself. Right? Like that type of power and everything, it's exhaustible. It always runs out. The bag dries up, the bottle dries up, the rig gets pushed down and it's empty. It just doesn't work that way in life. It would be like if I've broken a lot of bones. I've broken like 7 bones in my life, right? And I remember one of the most uncomfortable ones was breaking a rib, because you can't laugh, sneeze, nothing. Like you just got to kind of sit there and let the healing take place. You can tape your ribs to kind of keep, kind of like a weight belt type thing to keep upright and straight, but there's nothing you can do about it. When I broke my rib, if a week later I started to fucking try working out or running, and I said, this is bullshit, my rib should be healed by now, I would have to be an asshole, because I would be going against biology itself. We know that biology doesn't work that way. But I would look ridiculous if I was walking around demanding that my bone be healed. You can't do that. You can't rip that okayness out of life. You can't rip it out of life. You can't rip it out of biology, and you can't rip it out of nature. Drugs allowed us to do that. We got shot up the mountain and experienced radical euphoria. Even with like, this whole ayahuasca thing and, shrooms now and whatever. What's the other shit? Special K? Isn't that like Special K therapy? Is that what it's called?
Okay.
Yeah.
Ketamine
infusion. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the street name. But anyways, like you can go take ayahuasca. I've had some gnarly shrooms. You guys ever had some good trips?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are you the kind of guys that be like, acid changed my life?
No, I usually say
Paul definitely is.
Yeah, I usually say that the night I took acid was like the best night of my life. Because
it really was. Like a whole new world came into view. But the thing is, it didn't get down into your cells. It didn't just level you up and you no longer have to be intentful with your life. You can get shot up the mountain and see a whole new world come into view, 360. But the thing is, when you come back down, and you're going to come back down, now you're going to have to work that glimpse of that summit into your daily life. So the work doesn't stop. It's like, what's that thing in Buddhism say? Chop wood, carry water before enlightenment, and then after enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. So it's the resistance to chopping wood and carrying water. We just want, I'll speak for myself, I always want the wood and the water to be delivered to my doorstep. And that's what drugs did. They dropped it at my fucking doorstep. But when you start to work on goals and building your character and building your physique and growing spiritually and growing in your intellect, you can't have that shit dropped off at your doorstep.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I always say to people who have like asked me like what the biggest realization you had in like recovery was, and like the biggest and hardest but also most beneficial realization I had is that I have to work hard every day, and then one day I have to die. And that's it. Like, you have to work hard towards your recovery or your goals or the mind or body that you want to have every day, and then you have to stop existing after a certain while.
But that's the joy of it, right?
I mean,
it sounded morbid the way you said it.
I find it very joyful, but I say it in a morbid way, but it's like, to me, that realization was very positive.
Right. Yeah, by the sweat of your brow type thing. And like, you know, I just never wanted to work for anything because I don't know, I'm a hider. You know what I mean? I can hide. That's one of my things. That's one of my shortcomings. I'm real good at just hiding and evading responsibility, because I think my comfort is in the hiding, but really everything I've ever wanted is in doing what you said, which is working hard. Because I had never, you know, worked hard for anything in my life. Like even with FTG, I'm not attached to how this needs to look. I have a vision of like, damn, it would be dope if we could do this full time and get paid for it just to talk, have fun, create awesome. But that would be awesome if that ever happened. But I just stumbled into it and then just keep going, mainly because I enjoy it. It's fun. It's passionate. It brings people together, whatever. And so you follow that. So it's a compound effect, and it has compounded. Like, you see growth, you see growth, you see growth. When you go to the gym, if you were to go to the gym and I said, Paul, do 100 crunches at the gym, right? And you were like, I want a six pack. So I was like, all right, go to the gym, do 100 crunches, right? And then talk to me in whatever, 6 months, when really abs are shown by diet, not by doing crunches. But for the fucking point, for the metaphor, right? You come home after doing 100 crunches, you pull up your shirt, you look in the mirror, and you call me, you go, this is fucking bullshit. No abs here. You'd have to be an asshole to do that, to go to the gym, do 100 crunches, and then expect a result like that. No, because biology does not work that way. And growing spiritually, healing traumas, opposing one of the things you said the other day about, you know, purposely wearing those violet Crocs and all this stuff, and like that type of intentional behavior, that takes practice. That takes daily practice, in and out, and it rolls in and it rolls back, and it's fucking hard. But like me, my whole thing was I wanted to rip satisfaction out of life the same way I ripped euphoria out of nature by using drugs. And it just don't fucking work like that. You know? I got to be mindful of my cussing. I'm trying to work on my cussing.
Yeah, it's not appealing. Doesn't sound good, you know?
Yeah, it's not appealing, you know?
Can I share something about
the
morning thing and exercising and all
that?
Because it's something in my life that I've been working on.
Okay.
So yeah, I like same way. It's hard to like do this stuff in the morning. But now that I have children, it like changed the like availability of free time. right? And so the first thing I did was like I had to wake up at 6 o'clock before everyone else woke up to like get mentally prepared for the day.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, well, if I'm waking up at 6, like I can because that gave me an hour before anyone woke up. It's like, okay, well, if I wake up at 6 for a couple weeks and I do that, then maybe I could wake up at 5, you know? So I was like, okay, let's try it. You know, I want to get back in the gym. The morning is the only time that I can do it. So I started waking up at 5, and now I can go to the gym and exercise and then still have an hour before anyone wakes up to get myself mentally prepared for the day. And I've been at it for 2 weeks now, and it's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, your life almost demanded that that's the only option you have. Kids will do that.
Exactly.
Right?
There's no other option. So it's either you don't work out or you do it in the morning, you know?
But I mean, you've been wanting to do that for a while.
have.
And now you got
I
2
have.
weeks, so it's like it's still that battle.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And what else were you talking about? Oh, yeah. Like, it's so much easier to go to bed at 9:30. Like, like 9:30, I'm just like, I'm snoring. And my wife's just like, what are you doing over there? I'm like, I'm in bed. You know? Like, I'm up at 5.
I'm
so
out,
sleep
dude.
At 9:30. It's great.
Yeah. 100%. And that's what I mean, like sitting around all day, not doing anything, not challenging your body, not reading, doing all that stuff. It just gives you like vapid energy, just like super like you just like, I don't know, you're just like level out in a bad way and you just kind of drift at this low baseline. And for me, that's the script to like absolutely being miserable. So Paul brought up something before we started recording about positive thinking and that being the catalyst into positive action. Now, I have a little bit of beef with this, right? Do we positive thinking our way into waking up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym? Or does the positive thinking come after I've been waking up 5 a.m., going to the gym for 2 weeks before my family gets up? Because I got issues with the whole law of attraction. And here's the thing. Listen, here's the thing. I think that addicts and alcoholics are of a different cloth. If I could have self-helped my way sober and self-helped my way into a different person, I would have done that when I was 19 years old and wouldn't have taken until I was 28, 29. I believe, or what I've seen in my life, is that you live positively and you begin to challenge the mind that wants to stay in bed and you start to get up and go to the gym or whatever. Now you have a positive foundation and momentum within you of self-love. I like doing this. I'm showing up for myself. And naturally you have a more positive rhythm within you. I haven't been able to, because it's kind of like motivation. Like I think motivation is great, but it only is going to get you so far. You're always going to have to like there's going to be days, and maybe Andrew's already had it, where you wake up at 5 a.m. and you don't want to fucking get up. You're not going to be positive. You're not going to be stoked about it, but you made a commitment to yourself and you got 2 weeks under your belt, so you're going to fucking do it. And that positive momentum has been created from the 2 weeks of getting up and going to the gym, not because of affirmations. And you know what I mean? What, you're smirking. Tell me what you think, because I want to know.
Well, no, I think you're kind of getting at the heart of my argument, which is like right now I'm trying to brainwash myself into thinking positively, because I'm always an overthinker.
Yeah.
So if I'm overthinking, why not brainwash myself into thinking positively, right? So my thing that I'm currently coming around to is very similar to what you're saying about do the positive action regardless of how you're thinking. But I'm trying to get myself into this like cycle where I'm doing the positive thing that creates the positive thoughts. And then if I break that cycle, I at least can get the thoughts back without, losing too much momentum. Whereas like right now I'm doing things and I will continue to do them regardless of how I'm feeling, because I understand the importance of doing.
Yeah.
But the thoughts, like, for example, some days I will wake up and immediately in my head I'm just going through scenarios of arguments that I would like to have with, let's say, my roommate. Why didn't you do this dish? I bought this dish so that we could have nicer stuff. Please wash this when you're done with it. Why am I thinking about that? It doesn't matter what I'm thinking. I'm still going to meditate, go to the gym, blah, 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 do all these positive actions. But I'm trying to get into a place where I can do positive thought and positive action independent of one another, and they can kind of beget themselves, essentially, if that makes sense. So I agree with what you're saying. I think that my premise led you into a disagreement that I don't really have with you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I agree with that. It's like, for me, it's like, you know, there's the chattering mind, right, which I feel like I've been talking about for the last 4 weeks. But you can wake up and have the mind be like, you know, that motherfucker, that dish better not be in the sink fucking dirty. I'm gonna lose my fucking shit. You know what I mean? And it probably is gonna be in the dish or be in the sink dirty, right? But the more, like, for me, and living with people is hard. That stuff, just like learning how to like live with people, boundaries, you know, realizing what they're capable of, what they're not capable of, what you're capable, etc. Right? For me, it's been like the negative self-talk. I met with my therapist last week, and it was like 2 weeks ago. And I was in some bullshit and some self-pity and negative self-talk, and I think I had said something to the effect of like, what is wrong with me? You know what I mean? Like, just about these thoughts and all this shit of just like, I was like, what is wrong with me? And without missing a beat, he goes, that narration, that thought of what is wrong with me. And he goes, who would you be if you didn't think that about yourself? Like, who would you be if that's not who you were? Well, and the answer is, well, anything but that, everything but that. Every other sliver of me would be the color that I'd want it to be. It wouldn't be this morbid gray color of what the fuck is wrong with me. And so I definitely think, I guess I have like a shitty judgment against the whole positive thinking thing, because it is important. Why hold the attention of the thought of, which was mine, what is wrong with me, when you can hold something greater or something more peaceful? I have learned that there's times in my life where I think having this word trying to substitute, trying to get rid of this negative thought, trying to hold a positive thought with this effort, right? I think that is a script for anxiety and suffering and just depression, and you just get spun up in your own shit. So for me, it's been like, would it be okay if my mind was just talking this negative shit right now and I went and did A, B, and C, or I didn't crucify my roommate because he washed this dish? What if it was just okay? Like, for me, my mind is loudest first thing in the morning. As soon as I wake up, it's just usually blah, 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 you know, just talking shit. Now, for the longest time, I would listen to that. And I'd be like, yeah, you're right. Don't do this, 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 and this. And I would just listen to the script, and then I would become it. And then over time, I had to purposefully not listen to that, get up and go get involved with life regardless. And then after 2 years of facing that voice every single morning, it went away. So it was like, I almost, the positive thought, if you will, was just not giving it too much weight. Just like letting it be there.
Is that kind of like the idea of like, recognize a thought, acknowledge that the thought is there, and then let it pass kind of thing? Like, you know how there's some types of meditation where it's like, try not to think at all. And there's some types of meditation where it's like, try to control your thoughts through like affirmation or whatever. But then like the one that's always resonated with me is like, experience this thought and then just don't act on it. Like, acknowledge the thought's there. Thoughts are going to come from wherever, but you don't have to act on that thought or give it any credence. It's just a thing that's floating through your mind. Is that kind of what that is?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's like your Buddhism practice, right? It's like basically life is suffering, and life is suffering because of the thoughts that we have and the attachments we want of them. Like this thought says, I would like this, or I don't want that, or whatever. And it's like a cloud passing in the sky, right? And the cloud is going to pass the sun. And if you attach to that and you say that cloud is now the sky, you're not going to have any sun in your life. But if you acknowledge it's there, there's a cloud in the sky, and let it keep moving, then you can get sun in your life. I mean, it's real easy and shit to talk about. And I feel like I've been talking about the nature of the mind and wanting and the preferencing mind for like the last month. And that's because that's just where I've been at personally, and like the books I've been reading, and Letting Go and Untethered Soul and all this shit and the Surrender Experiment. But just letting the mind be the mind. Don't take too much stock in it. One of my favorite movies says the mind is a reflex organ, and it fills your mind with thousands of thoughts a day, and none of them reveal anything more about you than a freckle does on the end of your nose. They're just thoughts. So for me, like, meditation has been the armor, if you will, that has allowed me to like go into this battlefield of the mind and have an experience with it and see what's really going on in there. I don't think that I was, and I think that I've recently just become ready to even take up that quest. I think for a long time, it was just about not listening to the mind as much as possible and moving into action and creating the life that I wanted to create. And as my life has settled down and gotten more peacefully, now it's like I've been getting more involved with, who this guy is, who this person is. Like, why do I think the way that I think? Why do I speak the way that I speak? And why do I move the way that I move? I think it was Buddha that said nirvana is when what you think, what you feel, and nirvana is what you think, what you say, and what you do are in complete harmony with one another. And that was never the case in my life. There was no harmony. So once harmony comes into your life, not, purely in that nirvana state, but when you get a little bit of harmony, now you got to get involved like with the harmony, right? And there's a dirt road to nirvana. It's not like, again, I say this all the time, it's very easy and pretty and cute to talk about, but it's hard in the taking. I don't believe that I can just, and maybe I'm fucking wrong now, and I've always believed that you can't just heal the mind through thinking, but I do believe that it takes some type of fucking intent to get involved with the nature of your mind. Like, I'm a big Emmet Fox guy. I got him tattooed on my shoulder, and his whole thing is about the golden key, which is anytime you get jammed up, you're fearful, you have negative thoughts, you golden key it. Or even if I have a negative view about a person, right? You wake up, my fucking roommate better not be doing A, B, and C. You golden key it, which is to immediately shift your attention to the presence of God and consider that only. Not trying to run away from that thought, but just to be concerned with something greater. And now, if I could have done that and healed my life, I would have had done that. So I think that there's levels to it. Like, there was a long time in my life where I was completely incapable of doing that. Now I feel like I have more bandwidth to consider, what if I didn't get hung up on this judgmental thought of what's wrong with me? And what if I considered the greatness of me, or the harmony or the peace of me, and the things and the greatness that I have in my life? Who would that guy then be? Because I do know that whatever you hold in your mind, wherever your attention is, that's where your life is going to go. I know that to be an absolute fact, right? Like, one of my favorite scriptures is Proverbs 27:19, and it says, just as water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart of a man. So like if you next time it's raining, right, and there's a puddle, you go look, or if you got a pool, you're in the ocean, gaze over that water, and if you do not see your reflection, fucking, I don't know, send us an email at fromthegravepodcast and I'll close up fucking shop. Because that's fucking the law of nature. That's the law of the universe, right? And so you think about like any painting ever from the beginning of time, when an artist paints a landscape and there's mountains and there's body and water in front of it, what's always reflected in the water? It's always the landscape. That's the backdrop of it. They always paint the mountains in the water because this is how the universe is structured. So what we are is a reflection of what's going on within the heart of a man. The heart, the term heart in scripture means mind, right? Heaven is the internal consciousness. Earth is the outpicturing of that consciousness. So whatever's going on within me, you're going to experience that and see that in my life. It's like, if there's wars raging on inside of you, you're going to experience war in your life. There's going to be casualties. There's going to be discord, discontent, restlessness, anxiety, depression, broken relationships. You're going to struggle with money. You're not going to be able to hold a job. That's not because you're lazy. It's because of the internal nature of your mind that's making you withdraw from life and be this person. So like the whole spiritual approach, it's like you don't go out there and try and fix your life. You go inward. That's what the 12 steps are all about. That's what this self-help shit is all about. They don't point anywhere out there and say, go figure it out. They say, go inward. Figure out why you're moving the way you're moving. Get involved with the structure of your life and begin to be a different person by action. But I was never able to go out and manipulate my relationships to make them better. If I want a relationship with a beautiful, funny, caring, just nice woman, then I got to become a beautiful, nice, caring, genuine man. And that's, in my eyes, that's how the law of attraction works. If you want that out of life, then become that in your own life. Because I'm not going to take the cap off that son of a gun and just break it out of life. I'm not going to wrestle that out of life. And so it's this complete faith and trust in God and the universe and life to say, if my number one loyalty is to my own spiritual development, then everything else in my life will turn to gold. Anything and everything I touch will turn to gold. And this is what Emmet Fox talks about. He says your loyalty isn't even to your kids, to your job, to your friends, nothing. It's not to your family, to your wife, to your husband. It's not that. He says, if your number one loyalty is to the development of your own soul, then you will become the most loving and loyal person to all those other circumstances in your life, right? As water reflects the face. But if you're trying to manipulate self-love by gaining somebody in your life that's going to give you love, it's never going to be enough. It's always going to fall by the wayside because the goalposts move. Even if she sends you a good morning text, I love you, I hope you have a good day, guess what? Tomorrow you're going to need another one. You're going to need another one tomorrow. And then what happens if it doesn't come? I'm no longer okay because I don't have that self-love. I haven't been meeting my own needs. I'm not in a state of finding my own approval. So like everything changed in my life when I no longer gave two shits for anyone else's approval. And once I started approving of myself and meeting my own needs and being a proud man of the way I was living and paying attention to my thoughts and therapy, then all the approval that I ever wanted from people came. But when I was trying to bend it out of people, it just pushed people away because it made me needy. So once you become committed to that inner work of achieving your own needs and achieving your own self-approval and building yourself and your spirit and your mind into this person that you wake up and you're okay being you, you're okay with the mind that you have, you're okay with the voice that you have, you're okay with the body and how you move, then all of a sudden, everything in your life turns to harmony. You have the relationships that you want. You have the right friends. You have the right job. Everything becomes loving, and it takes on a different color. It takes on this energy that I always wanted it to have. But see, I was trying to manipulate and take the cap off of that energy, which is alcoholism at its finest. And it just, in my eyes, I don't fucking know, right? At the end of the day, I don't know much, right? But in my life, that has been the case. And it's a paradox. It's all a paradox. It's super annoying, right? Another one of my favorite scriptures. Seek first the kingdom of God, and then everything else will be given to you. What does that mean? Right? As he goes on to say, the kingdom of heaven is within. It's not up there in the clouds. It's not over across the seas, and it's not up there on top of the mountain. It's right here within the heart of a man. So you go out there and seek it. The quest is never going to end. You're always going to find a new sea to traverse and a new mountain to climb. It's never going to be enough. And what people, right, don't want to do, specifically the ego, is it doesn't want to be looked at. It doesn't want to see this voice that says, what's wrong with, just what the fuck is wrong with me? And have someone say, that's what's wrong with you. It doesn't want to hear that. It wants to have that voice. And I've always wanted that voice without realizing it. And I clearly still do, because I just said that shit 2 weeks ago. But it was just from my therapist. He goes, what if you were wrong? What if it was just that voice that was wrong? Then who could you be? And it's like, holy shit. And then it just opens up. Something gets cracked open. And while it's a little frightening, it also should be exciting, because then you realize you have the opportunity to get involved with the nature of who you are. And having this faith in life and how much she loves you and how much the universe wants to take care of you is the whole deal. That's it's like, test it. Get involved. What if I made a decision to stop reaching out for the approval for others and started to ask myself, what do I need here? Can I meet my own needs? Why am I reaching for other people to approve and tell me this and tell me that? Do I look good? Am I too this? Am I too old? Blah, 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 blah. I got to stand in the mirror and flex and do all this stuff. What if you just started to get involved with yourself and say, what would it look like if I met my own needs? And then see, as I stop being this, because that's what a needy person is. I need you to approve of me. I need you to give me love. I need you to give me words of it. I just need it all the time. If you want to push people away, be that needy person. Needy people, you will just push people away. And I'm speaking in terms of myself. I was always super needy, and it's something that I've really, really had to work on. And a big trauma response is, I don't need nothing. I don't need nothing from you. I don't need nothing from life. I don't need anything from him or for her. And then you end up a lone wolf and you end up by yourself. So that's just as dangerous. So it's like finding that pendulum back and forth. But at any rate, like, do I really believe if I seek this kingdom of heaven, if I get involved with that and make that my number one loyalty, that my life will turn to heaven? Or am I out there trying to rip it out of life and pull it out of life? And if you have been, the question is, how's that been working? Like, are you happy with the payoff of that? And I never was. Like, deciding to do all this stuff, I didn't decide to go to therapy because I was like, I would really like to be a better man. It was, a really trauma-based relationship got me into therapy. So that painful relationship has become one of the most holy things that's ever happened to me in my life, because it pushed me into a direction that I didn't realize that I needed to go. So pain is usually the precursor for me. Pain, discontentment, restlessness, irritability, discontent is usually a gauge of what's going on within me. What am I not paying attention to? Am I walking around with that voice of, what the hell is wrong with me, man? That voice is wrong with me, right? So, I don't know. At any rate, I don't even know what the hell we're talking about, what we're talking about here. At any rate, man, it's all a spiritual paradox. And if you want the image in the water to change, You don't reach down to the puddle and move the water around. You change the person that's gazing at the puddle. If somebody was out there trying to change how the water looked by rubbing their hand in it, they'd get Baker acted. And they would get thrown in some non-slip socks, given about 400 milligrams of Seroquel, and they'd be shuffling around Fort Lauderdale psych ward until they were medically cleared to go back out into the world. But that's literally what we do. There's this parable, right, of it's back in, like, when did the drive-in theaters come around? Like 1950s? Do we know? Yeah, 1950s. Paul's nodding his head, yes. 1950s, Texas, Austin, Texas, real cowboy shit. And, you got the speakers coming up out of the ground. They're right next to the car. All the high school kids, everyone's strapped. Everyone's got guns. They're drinking. And they're playing this old Western movie, right? This old Western movie. And the Indians versus the cowboys, right? And there's a battle scene in the movie where the Indians start to overtake the cowboys. Now, all the kids that are at the drive-in theater in their car, trying to get laid, drinking beer, whatever, they get angry at what the movie is playing, right? The Native Americans are starting to win. They're starting to overtake the cowboys. So what do? They get out of their cars, they unholster their weapon, and they start shooting at the movie screen, right? Now, does that change the movie from playing? No. All you did was put a couple holes in the screen. The image is still peeking through. It's still playing. So we go up and we try to wrestle the scene to just be different. This needs to look different. When all the cowboy had to do, he didn't need to unholster his weapon. He just needed to get out the car, turn around, go to the projector, and take out the film and play a different movie, right? Seek first the kingdom of God, and then everything else will be given to you. Seek first the film that is playing inside, and then the image, the movie will change. If you get involved with the man gazing at the lake, then the image in the lake is going to change. You cannot reach down and change the image, and you can't shoot holes in a movie screen and expect the movie to change. It doesn't need violence. It doesn't need you to wrench things out. It's always less effort. God is a carefree approach. Life, growing spiritually, in my eyes, is carefree. It's an effortless approach. It's not trying harder. When we sit down to meditate, and it's an innocent process. I'm not concerned with how the meditation is going. I'm not concerned with the thoughts that I'm having. I'm sitting down in a passive practice, and my commitment is the loyalty is to the practice. The result is going to be the result. Okay, we may have a very profound, transcendent meditation. Good, great. We may have a very thought-filled, busy, as they say, meditation. Okay, great. Doesn't matter either way. We give 150% effort. We give ourselves completely to the practice and completely let go of the outcome. We're in the action business. God and life is in the outcome business. You can't take the cap out of life and just get what you demand. It doesn't work that way anymore. And if you're coming into life and attacking it with an alcoholic mind, you're going to get the same results that you got when you were turning your life over to drugs and alcohol, which is a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. There's two bottoms for me. There's been the physical bottom of the beating administered by drugs and alcohol, out there ripping and running, and then an emotional bottom, which is experience in the mind, stark, raving, sober. And then we start to get involved and say, am I really trying too hard here? Why is it hard for me just to let go? Why can't I just sit down and let the meditation practice be whatever it's going to be? Why am I trying so hard? For me, man, God is a carefree approach. Life is a carefree. When you pray, it should be ease and comfort. Prayer should be effortless. It shouldn't be I shouldn't say what it should be for you or not. My prayers are more genuine when it's just a conversation. I would rather say a 30-second carefree, heartfelt prayer than try and pray hard for 7 minutes begging God to just sweep down from the heavens and change things for me. Carefree approach, man. That's the way it worked with me. And to wrap up, happy 420. Stay away from the edibles, and CBD can get a little sneaky too. All right. I've had some experience with CBD in the past. There's no regulated, this shit ain't regulated, sneak up on you. Be careful with the tinctures. Be careful with all that. What's funny is I used to love Bob Marley just because of how much weed he smoked. I had that t-shirt in high school, the one where it's like his face it's half his face and the half is the lion, and they're both dreads, and the dreads turn into the lion head. You're just like, oh, I love Bob Marley. Yeah, don't worry, be happy and blow dro, right? Now I love Bob Marley because of his lyrics, right? Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Bob Marley literally felt that he could heal people through his music. So the message is everywhere, even from a guy who was Rastafarian and all about smoking weed. He was all about healing the people through gorgeous music. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. I'll leave you with that Bob Marley quote. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Peace, and check out the email from the Grave Podcast. Send us a topic, send us a voice recording, whatever you want. Interact with us, and we're going to have some fun with it. We'll play the voice recording on the podcast, respond to it, and we'll have some fun. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. It means the world. If you like what you're seeing, please throw it up on the gram or whatever story, tag us, and continue to create this awesome environment with us, man. We love you and we appreciate you. Thank you guys for listening.